I am a one-issue voter, and that one issue is the issue of abortion. I vote along that line because I do believe that it's one of the greatest issues to vote upon. If you believe, as the evidence would suggest, that aborting a baby is murdering a child, then there probably is no greater one issue to vote upon than that issue. And it's rare to find an actual politician that stands up for principles, especially ones that are not necessarily culturally popular. To actually have a politician who is a principled individual and is willing to stand up for what they believe in, regardless of if it is politically strategic for their campaign or not, is really, really rare. And that's why I believe that abortion is one of the greatest ways in which to vote, because you know that if a politician comes along and they're really willing to stand up and take a strong pro-life stance, that this is a politician that cannot be bought. This isn't a politician that's out for himself. This is not about hubris for him, because there's a lot of things to lose if you take a strong pro-life stance in present-day America. So if you can find a politician that will do that, it gives you a greater assurance, not only that they will protect life, but that they're actually in it for the right reasons, that they have principles and not just a desire for power. And that's why I think your vote is best suited with a guy like Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis did this. When he's campaigning, running to be the president in 2024, trying to be the Republican nominee, he in his state did something that a lot of people would consider damaging. He signed a heartbeat bill that said once a baby has a heartbeat, you can't abort that baby. Now, if he was just trying to be politically expedient, he would have pushed that off into a later time. But Ron DeSantis is the kind of guy that promised that if I have the opportunity to sign a bill that will protect life, I will do it. And it's one of the reasons that I think he would make a great president, because he's not just about politics, he's about principles. So Ron DeSantis did this. But just recently, Trump gave an interview in which he gave a little bit of a different take on this issue. Here's that.
A federal ban landed on your desk if you were reelected. Would you sign it at 15
Are you talking about a complete ban?
A ban at 15 weeks.
Well, people are starting to think of 15 weeks. That seems to be a number that people are talking about right now.
Would you sign that?
I would sit down with both sides and I'd negotiate something, and we'll end up with peace on that issue for the first time in 52 years. I'm not going to say I would or I wouldn't. I mean, DeSantis is willing to sign a 5-week and 6-week ban.
Would you support that? You think that
I think what he did is a terrible thing and a terrible mistake.
Now, before I go any further, I just want to state something. Logical consistency matters to me. Not that I always have it, but it does matter to me. It's important to me. And I understand that by not kissing the ring of this powerful man, not that Donald Trump knows me, but if I ever got the chance to meet him, he's a powerful man and he's a kingmaker, and he's been a powerful force for promotion for many people in conservative circles. But it is more important for me not to kiss the ring, but to be logically consistent here. So I want to be logically consistent, and I want to tell you as a one-issue voter, this is the kind of reason that I think you cannot vote for Donald Trump. Now, let me just explain this, because the argument here is that all Donald Trump is saying is that he wants abortion to be a states' rights thing. That's why he overturned Roe v. Wade. And aren't you thankful for that? Yes, incredibly. Tens of thousands of babies have been saved as a result of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And I am very thankful for that. But it isn't for the reason that you're saying, because it really can't be, at least if we're going to take his words seriously on Meet the Press there. Because if this is really all about Donald Trump's desire to make sure that it's a states' rights issue, then why did he frown upon Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, taking his state's rights into account and then as a state deciding that, hey, we're going to put a heartbeat bill? He said it was a, quote, terrible idea to sign a heartbeat bill in the state of Florida. So that doesn't really sound like he's against a federal abortion ban because he wants states to make up their mind. If he wanted states to make up their mind and this wasn't just merely about winning politically, then you would think he would say, hey, that state decided what they wanted to do. good for that state. What Donald Trump is doing here is acknowledging something that's true. He's acknowledging status quo bias, and that means essentially that the status quo is typically the thing that people typically defer to. And because abortion is kind of status quo in America, people take a more centrist approach on the issue of abortion by and large. And so Donald Trump is taking kind of the strategic long game here. He's just saying, hey, it'll injure my rights if I come out and just say I want a federal ban on abortion. We've been told for ages and generations that that's the death knell for the Republican Party, that, you know, people who are standing in the middle won't vote for a Republican if they take a strong stance on the issue of life. But here's my problem. That long game strategy just doesn't work. It may sound right, and to be logically consistent, I have to say, hey, if it did work and it saves more babies in the long run, then do it that way. But the kind of politicians who don't take a firm stance on it when they're campaigning are also the kind of politicians who don't take a firm stance on it once they get in office, because they quickly find that there's other responsibilities and other things that they need to consider now that they've gained power. So the long game strategy doesn't work. It doesn't work because, by the way, when did we acquiesce to the status quo and just say, well, what the statistics say is what we're going to do? It's the status quo only because of weak Republicans and Republicans that won't take a stand. So I offer rather this, that you need to vote for a candidate who is willing to kind of go the extra step and do what Republicans and conservatives have done with transgenderism in America. So the same kind of tack that we've taken with transgenderism, we need to take with abortion. Now, by the way, we say some people may argue that transgenderism is a relatively new kind of phenomenon, and that's why it's been able to be quashed so effectively by conservatives and Republicans. But of course, if you ask the transgender community, they'd say they're as old as dinosaurs. So there was obviously male dinosaurs that were walking around in dresses back in the day. But needless to say, I don't think it's just because transgenderism is a relatively new phenomenon that that conservatives and Christians have been able to respond to it as effectively as they have. I simply think it's because they're actually trying. And if we do that, we can truly make a difference. So the first thing is this, is that just like we did with detransitioners, we need to trot out rape victims who had their baby, and we need to have their children with them, and we need to hear their stories. And we need to speak to the people who were the product of failed abortions, but were able to be born. Just like detransitioners and the powerful stories of Chloe Cole and others, we need to hear from these people, and we need politicians. And I would highly encourage a Ron DeSantis or somebody like that to start bringing out these people and start bringing up their stories wherever they can, so that we can hear about these people. As long as we just make this a political issue, we are going to forget the mothers who are victimized after these abortion procedures and victimized the rest of their life as a result of it. And we're going to miss the wonderful stories of the children who were a byproduct of rape, but then went on to do something wonderful with their life, who didn't have to pay for the crime of their father. So in other words, we need to hear these stories. And then we need to bring up scientists. You know, the left loves the experts, but apparently only when they want to shove experimental vaccines in your arm. But we need to bring out the experts, and we need to talk about when life actually begins. And we need to have experts who are willing to come out and say, hey, when you have a new strand of DNA, that's a new life. So you may not like it, and you may think that this is simply a religious argument. It's not. It's most importantly a religious argument, because you need to sanctify life, and life is important because it's made in the image of God. But beyond that, the scientists and the experts can tell you really clearly when life actually begins. And then finally, we need to go the extra step and start showing people what abortions look like. Every time somebody wants to come with you with some kind of pro-abortion talking point, show them an abortion. Live Action just recently did this kind of in a man on the street way, and the response from this individual was fascinating. Check it out.
What are your thoughts on abortion?
I'm like more so like women would have the majority say so on that. It's her decision.
Do you know what the abortion procedure looks like or how it's performed?
No.
Ooh. 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 After watching a video like that, what's one word to describe what you saw?
Gory. Like straight out of a horror movie. Like something off a Saw. Like nasty. You literally dismembered the baby inside of the womb. That's murder.
So after seeing something like that, does your mind kind of change?
Yeah, I'm against it. I feel like that should be in school. That should be more in school, like somewhere to public knowledge. not just if you looking for it. Like it needs to be out here. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, we know what you mean, man. We know exactly what you're saying. So the best argument against this kind of stuff is to make people confront the repercussions of their decisions. Now, we've done this in the trans argument, and we've made great gains as a result of it, and we can do this in the abortion argument too. If we can find some people who are willing to stand up and say what it means and define what it means to be a good citizen in a good society.
So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely want to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.